Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Learn Freelance Filmmaking podcast. So, guys, I've been wanting to put out a podcast for a really long time. The first few are probably just going to be of me just talking about filmmaking related stuff. This podcast episode is going to be about how I got into filmmaking, as it's a pretty crazy story considering that it wasn't for clout. It wasn't because I just felt it would make me cool or make me look cool. It was literally something that definitely helped me find purpose in life, and is why I continued to take it to the next level and grind really hard to make this a full-time career. Now, in the near future, I'm going to actually have some guests on the podcast, and the whole idea of creating a podcast was me sitting there contemplating, should I do it, should I not? And then when I actually sat down and start to pre-plan it a little bit, I was like, holy crap, with a snap of a finger, I could literally get 20 filmmaking homies on this podcast who are super talented and probably have really cool stories to tell. So when I kind of thought about how many filmmaking homies I have in the industry and have how many friends I made in the industry over the years, it was kind of like a no-brainer that I probably should start putting out podcast content, because I really would like to chat with a lot of really talented filmmakers and shed some light on some filmmakers that I definitely look up to in the industry, and being able to chat with them over a pod would be pretty cool. So let me know what you guys think of the first pod. Again, this one is going to be about how I picked up a camera for the first time. If you want to learn how I properly execute music videos from start to finish, then click the first link in the description down below, which you will be able to enroll into my online music video course with over 150 music video lessons. I literally spent over 800 hours creating this course and priced it at such an affordable rate because I want to give up-and-coming videographers access to high-quality learning tools to further excel their music video skills. I truly believe that this is the most in-depth, affordable, and relatable online music video course on the internet, hands down. So getting right into it here, guys, even backing it up actually, but way before I picked up a camera, growing up as a kid, I lived a super blessed life. I'm very grateful for the life that my parents provided myself and my brother with. When we wanted the new Nintendo DS, we got the new Nintendo DS. When we wanted the new GameCube or the new game that came out for the GameCube, we got it. Now, to get these things, especially my mom was always the one you need to get good grades. So she would always say if you get a 90% on your next exam at school, you can get the new GameCube game. And it was oh my God, hit the books. So she always kind of instilled some sort of work ethic, and didn't just buy us stuff randomly. It always came down to getting good grades in school, and that's when she would give in and get us really whatever we wanted growing up. My mom was a family doctor, straight up. My dad was a CBC news anchor, so he anchored the news here in Saskatchewan where I live. So they both had really good jobs, and they were able to provide my brother and I with really, really great lives. Now I'm going to talk about a little later on, I'm going to expand on that a little bit. I definitely wasn't a brat growing up by any means, and I definitely am a really hard worker now. And I'm going to kind of chat a little bit about how my parents' work ethic and growing up, seeing my parents work really hard, almost trickled down to my brother and I having really, really good work ethic, and how that actually has helped me so much as a videographer. But before that, growing up, blessed life, nothing to complain about. We were healthy. We came from a great family, always lived in a nice house, especially where we live here in Saskatchewan. It's easy to live in a really nice house and nice property. Going through elementary and everything, it was easy, man. Going to high school is when things kind of changed, right? So going into high school, for some reason as a kid, for as long as I could remember, I always I'm talking even when I'd be in grade 3, 4, so young, I'd always hear, or I'd see on TV people sick. I would hear about distant relatives, distant family friends getting sick or having health scares. And even as a kid, I was just so conscious of the fact that I had never had a serious health scare. I'd never broken a bone. I'd never had to go to the hospital to emergency to tend to something that was very serious. And for some reason, I was always very grateful for having good health. I don't know why, but like ever, like most kids wouldn't really think about that. At least I don't think. But like I'd be literally be in like elementary school, like a kid, like a child. And I would literally tell myself in my head, I'm like, like I'm very grateful that, I'm like very healthy. Like, wow, like this is awesome that I'm healthy. Like I couldn't imagine being a diabetic. I couldn't imagine being really, really sick with something or being really ill. So high school hits, and it was about grade 11. Now, in grade 9, I got into wrestling. I was a high school wrestler, and I was actually really good at it. I wrestled in high school pretty much every day at school. After school, I would wrestle, hit the mats for about an hour and a bit. And then 2 to 3 days a week, I would also wrestle with the university team. And so I was like pretty much wrestling like 7, 8 days a week. Like it was actually quite a bit during in season. And I just fell in love with the sport, absolutely loved it. I put so much time and effort into it. And I did really well. Like I won provincial championships like multiple times. Never ended up making nationals actually because I just couldn't hit my weight. I just didn't know how to properly cut weight back then. I was just a kid. I mean, I was like, like 14, 15, 16. So like I just didn't understand it that well. But anyways, really big into wrestling. And through high school, it was about grade 9 or 10, my mom, and actually back it up a little bit. So when I graduated elementary school in grade 8, this is the summer of grade 8 going into grade 9, we did a family trip to Greece because we have family in Greece. And I myself am Greek, 100% Greek. Both parents on both sides are Greek. So we still have a lot of family in Greece. And back then, my great-grandparents were still alive. So we'd visit in this small village in northern Greece, about 2-hour drive from Athens. So we would always visit there for like 2 or 3 weeks and in the summers. And we try to go out there as much as we can to see, my great grandparents, my aunt, uncle. I have a bunch of cousins out there as well. And we go out there. And I specifically remember, this is the first time that this actually came up, and it's freaking crazy. And this all ties together into like how I actually picked up a camera for the first time. I'm sitting in the kitchen in the village, this small little town. It's a small kitchen, and we're all kind of sitting around the table. And I remember that the light on the right side of the kitchen was burnt out. So it was only illuminating in the kitchen. Like I was sitting at a table across from my mom, and the light in the kitchen was hitting the left side of my face. So I was sitting across the table from my mom, and she's just looking at me. And she starts freaking out. She goes, "Did you and your brother get into a fight? I told you guys to stop fighting. Blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" My brother's sitting there. He's like, "I didn't do anything." She's like, "Your brother hit you in the face, or did you fall? Did you hurt yourself? Like, there's a bump on your chin." And I'm like, "What? A bump? The hell are you talking about?" Like, I'm young, man. Like, I'm like, frick. Like, what age are you at in grade 8? Like 13 probably? Like, I had a late birthday too, so I was young. I was like 13. I'm sitting here with my hands up. I'm like, "What the hell?" My brother's sitting there with his hands up. He's like, "What the hell?" And she's like, "Do you guys not notice his chin looks bigger on the one side than the other?" And everybody's looking at me, literally like 10 Greeks looking at me around this table. And I'm like in this huddle of like Greeks, and they're all looking at me, staring at me, all family members. And they're like, "We don't notice anything. What are you talking about?" And they're all touching my chin, and they're looking, and my mom's just staring at me. Once everything settled down, my mom's just staring at me, and she's like just staring at my chin the whole rest of the trip. Like anytime we were in broad daylight, she's like looking at my chin. And like she's like, her being a family doctor too, like being a doctor, when you notice something, and I feel like this is just what I think, but like if you notice something but you don't know what it is medically, I'm sure it just drives you nuts, especially if it's somebody that's a loved one. So we go through the rest of the trip, whatever. We get back to Regina, home city. We're back in the city. And my mom's like, "I really think we should check this out. Like, do you not notice it?" And back then I was like, I'd look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I don't really see it. Like, I think that's just how I am. I think my chin is just very ever so slightly bigger on the one side, on the right side than the left. I think that everybody's just built different. And we did end up going to a family doctor, my family doctor, and she said the same thing. She said, everybody's built different. Nobody's faces are actually perfectly symmetrical. So it could make sense that maybe my cheek is just a little bigger on the one side. That's just how my bony structure is. And my mom did not settle for that. She, like, it kept her up all night for like probably a good year. Now, throughout that year, it did start to get worse. I was in denial about it because I knew that there was something up, but I was too scared to find out what was wrong with me. And I would keep telling my mom, like, I don't notice anything. You're being crazy. Basically saying, like, you're being crazy. And my mom's sitting there saying, no, like, there's something up. Like, this is not normal. I've never seen somebody, like, I've never seen a patient in residency, in practicing, that has come in where their chin looks a little bigger on the one side than the other. And it has actually progressively gotten worse over that year, but very, very slowly. Like, it wasn't like I woke up and it was different. It was just a slow progression from, like, when I was around 13 to 14. Now, of course, at this point, because we saw the progression, my mom was like, that's enough. Like, I don't care what any other family members say, what anybody says. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to figure out what's up with this. Like, I just need to know, just to have a peace of mind. So we start seeing other family doctors outside of my own. We start seeing specialists. Nobody has an answer. Throughout the second year of doing this, it started to get worse. We started to now notice that my cheek was now indenting on the left side, only on the left side. My temple area was starting to indent slightly. My mandible, so like in the middle here of your forehead, is called the mandible, and it looked like there was like a crease or like a line because there was less fat on the left side than the right. So basically, the left side of my face looked different than the right, and we had no idea what was going on. And obviously, it was some sort of rare disease or something that was super rare. So we're seeing every single specialist in the book. When I tell you guys that I've seen every single freaking family doctor and specialist in the city, like, I'm telling you, I've seen them all. So after seeing everybody in our city, my mom says, you know, we're going to shoot our shot and go to this rheumatologist that's been in the game for a hot minute, and we're going to just get his opinion on it and go from there. So I go there. And it just so happened that there was a second rheumatologist. I believe he was a rheumatologist also there. And these two guys are like really old. They're retiring in like a year. And I think they ran this practice out in Saskatoon, which is a 2-hour city away from our city. And they're both looking at me. I remember he looked at me, the first rheumatologist, and he looked at me. He's feeling my face. I'm like sticking my tongue out at him. He's looking inside my mouth and he's like touching my face. And he's like, hold on, I'm going to go grab the other specialist. So this usually doesn't happen. So the other specialist comes in, he looks at me and he's like, and he's also touching my face, looking at me, and he looks over at the first rheumatologist, and he's like, could it be like Perry-Romberg syndrome? Like, is that, like, could it actually be that? And he's like, I think so. Like, that's what I was thinking. So basically, Perry-Romberg syndrome is like, it is a one in multi-millions that you're going to get this thing. Like, it is extremely freaking rare. They, right on the spot, diagnosed me with this. And I'm sitting here and we're like, well, at least we have a peace of mind, but how do we fix it? How do we slow the progression? Because it is still progressing over time. So they put me on this drug called Plaquenil. Now, this is something that a lot of people with autoimmune diseases will take. It's just a pill that you take every second day, literally 0 side effects. And all it does is maybe make your vision like ever so slightly blurry. But once you hop off of the drug, your vision just goes back to normal. I never really noticed anything. Like I said, I never had any side effects with it. And I just have to go for vision tests every year, basically, to make sure that my vision wasn't getting worse because of the drug. So I was on this drug for probably a good 6 months, and we started to see a rapid progression. Now, every 2 months, we started to notice it was getting worse. It was getting worse. Cheeks start to indent more. Chin start to get bigger on the one side than the other. And we go back to the specialist. He says, okay, we're going to hop on a new drug. We're going to stack it on top of your Plaquenil, the first drug, called methotrexate. And it's another pill. But when you're on this pill, you cannot drink. You cannot, and you're basically going to be immunocompromised. So basically, I can just like catch a cold a lot easier. I can get sick a lot easier. So I was like, honestly, if it's going to slow this down, at this point, going through high school, this was maybe in grade 12, I was extremely, extremely, extremely self-conscious of it. Like, I basically, from grade 11 through a couple of years out of high school, I couldn't look at somebody in the face, especially during high school. Like, I could not have a normal conversation with somebody. I would cut conversations short unless it was like a really close friend of mine, because I was so worried that if they were looking at me straight on, that they would notice that my cheek is indented and they would call me out for, having a different looking face. So a lot of the times I would, I'd shift my face so that like the right side of my face would I kind of like point my face to the opposite direction while I talk to people, and I got really good at hiding it. I would like when I'd be listening to people talking to me and I was continuing to stare at them, I would puff out my cheek with like air in my mouth. Like I'd puff my cheek out to make it less noticeable, and it was just like tiring, man. Like it was so stressful, especially as a kid. Like like kids stress about so many little things, right? Like kids get self-conscious about like so many things. And this was even before like social media and stuff. And I feel like kids like can be much more self-conscious these days because of social media. But this is even kind of like before that. Like Instagram was just coming out in like grade 11, 12, and like nobody had it because it wasn't cool at the time. So anyways, I'm going through high school, whatever. At the time, I really wanted to go into medicine, actually, to follow my mom's footsteps. Now, what ended up happening was, I'm on these drugs, and I have no side effects, but we're seeing still that there's a progression. So this was when I graduated high school. And like when I'm saying that I was so self-conscious in high school about this disease and the way that I looked, like I was borderline like terrified to even, like I didn't even want to go to like prom because like I didn't even have a prom date. Like I was so scared of like talking to like girls, like straight up. Like I was just like fucking terrified of like all this stuff, to the point where it was like I felt so embarrassed going to prom because like I didn't have a date for prom and didn't like ask anyone, because like I didn't really talk to girls because I was like, honest to God, too scared to, because I was worried that they'd like notice my face and like think I'm all weird and shit. So like it was a very like self-conscious period in high school. And the other thing too is like wrestling was like something that definitely gave me like a lot of purpose, and it gives a lot of kids purpose in high school. When you're doing a team sport and you're surrounded by people in an extracurricular activity and you're all rooting for each other, that definitely like gives you a huge confidence boost and like definitely gives you purpose as a kid. But when I was originally diagnosed, it was like in grade 10 or like end of grade 10, maybe like early grade 11, I had to like literally snap of a finger, like quit wrestling, because the specialist told me that I couldn't have any atrophy on the left side of my face. So basically I had to quit overnight, like wrestling. And like I was really big into it. Like I said, I was just like always like that. I lived and breathed wrestling. Like I loved it. And I definitely would have gone to the States or somewhere else in Canada with like some sort of wrestling scholarship and wrestled for a university. But that obviously all hope was lost like once I was diagnosed with this disease. So I didn't have wrestling. I was kind of into cars like at the time. That was kind of like my purpose. I had a really cool car back in the day, like a 1991 Nissan 300ZX twin turbo. It was so sick. It was a right-hand drive car. It was like so sick. And that was kind of like my purpose. I like honestly kind of got more into cars and really into the car scene, made a lot of friends through the car scene over time. And that was like a really cool community that I ended up finding. And anyways, graduate high school. Again, super into cars. It's kind of like what I would live and breathe. I was just obsessed with cars. And one of my really, really good friends, and we're still like good friends to this day, is Jared. And what ended up happening was, and I'll get to the story with him because it's actually kind of funny, because this is how the whole camera thing came to be. But basically, my aunt and uncle gifted me a Canon T3i with a kit lens as a grad present for high school grad present. And honestly, I looked at it, I unboxed it, and I'm like, oh my God, like there's no way in hell that I'm going to be shooting photos and videos like with this thing like that. Like, don't only hipsters do that type of shit? Like, I'm not a hippie, I'm not a hipster, why would I use a camera? Because back then, like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, shooting photos and videos was like weird. Like that was a weird person thing to do, straight up. Like I didn't know one photographer, anybody that was like actually into photography that was like my age. Like it just wasn't a cool thing to do. So I honestly didn't touch that Canon for like the longest time, like probably 2 years. It just sat in my room underneath my desk and collected dust. Like there's literally caked on top of that Canon T3i box, brand freaking new Canon T3i. And I just didn't want to touch it. I didn't think it was cool. I was into cars. That was cool. And so I'm sitting in my room one day and me and my friend Jared are hanging out, and he looks down and he's like, oh dude, like you got a camera. He's like, when have you had this? I was like, oh, like ever since we graduated high school together, like I've just had this camera sitting there. My aunt and uncle gifted it to me. He's like, well, let's go take photos of our cars. It's a nice summer day. It's a Wednesday. We got nothing else to do, nothing better to do. And, we're going to go cruising anyways in our whip. So let's just bring the camera and take some photos. I'm like, all right, cool. So we go out, start taking photos, and I just freaking instantly fell in love with the editing process for photography. I loved editing the photos that I took of our cars. So I end up actually going out after that by myself, and I ended up taking some video of my own car because I got really inspired by these two filmmakers, or this one filmmaker named Crispy Media, Chris Petruccio. He's like a really big automotive videographer, and when I found out about him, I'm not kidding, like this was like 10 years ago or so. He only had like very, very small YouTube following. He's just kind of getting into the scene, but his the quality of his work was like so crazy. And he shot off a Sony A7S II, which was like a goated camera back in the day. It was either you're going with a T3i, T2i, or you're investing thousands and thousands of dollars into an A7S II. I obviously like couldn't afford that. I wasn't gonna, beg my parents for a $6,000 camera. They weren't gonna buy me that. So I just used the T3i. I used what I had. And at this time, I was taking this new drug called methotrexate in a pill form. So again, I couldn't drink on this drug, and I was still seeing progression on the disease. We're all seeing the progression on the disease. So we actually had to switch it up from the pill form. It was like 15 milligrams of pill form to around 20 or 25 milligrams in sub-Q form. So it means that I had to inject the drug inside of me. So once a week, I would have to inject this drug called methotrexate into my body. I was just freaking horrified to do it, so my mom would straight up do it for me. I'm like out of university or out of high school, and my mom's literally once a week, every Sunday night at like 11 or like midnight, she would inject me with this drug. And I had no side effects. It was great. I was like, it kind of sucks. I have to take a injectable form of this, and I have to inject myself with something. It's kind of gross, but I mean, at least it might help. And we actually ended up seeing that the disease wasn't progressing anymore. We noticed that my face was staying the same. It was stabilizing, which was great. We were happy about that. But then come 6 months down the road of taking this drug, now the side effects started to show up. And we're talking freaking, oh my God, we're talking the most nauseous feeling you have ever felt in your life, like that gross hungover feeling every single day for 6 days out of the week. So I would inject myself Sunday night. As soon as that shit hit my bloodstream, I am literally sick to my stomach. Not only am I sick to my stomach, but every time I would try to fall asleep, I'd get like, when you're on a roller coaster and you're doing like a huge like dip, like or whatever, you're doing a huge drop and you get those like butterflies in your chest and in your stomach. It would literally be that feeling, but like times 10. And anytime I would try to fall asleep and I'd be about to fall, I like almost fall asleep, it would just wake me up and it'd be like an adrenaline rush. So on average, I would sleep like a really good night of sleep was like 5.5 hours. A shitty night of sleep was about 4 hours of sleep. So I had to be on this drug for close to 2 years. So close to 2 years, I got no more than like honestly 5.5, like on a really good night, 6 hours of sleep. And I felt nauseous from Sunday night, late Sunday night, all the way to about Saturday midday, which would leave me with about a day and a few hours of grace period where I would feel 100% totally normal again, but then I'd have to re-inject myself with this drug, and it would be this cycle all over again for the entire week. At this time, I tried going to university. And it was honestly just a shit show. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. At first, I wanted to be a doctor all through high school. I wanted to follow my mom's footsteps and go into medicine. But honestly, at the end of the day, I just wasn't book smart enough for that. Anyways, like I had to really grind for my grades. I was always a really good student in high school, got great grades, but I had to really grind for them. And some of these classes were actually like kind of pretty average classes in terms of like difficulty level, but I'd still have to like really hit the books hard. And, yeah, and that was something that my mom definitely like instilled in me, was like hitting the books like heavy and having that work ethic to be able to study like day in, day out. And I think that work ethic definitely trickled down to like what I do now as a filmmaker, which I'll get into a little later on, but excuse me. Anyways, so I'm sick as a dog, pretty much trying university. I'm taking 2 or 3 classes. They are not going well. I'd sit in class. I'd feel so sick. I'd wake up in the mornings for like 8 a.m. classes, and like I could barely get out of bed. I'm slamming 5-hour energies right before, like the second I'd wake up to literally just get my ass out of bed. Like it was disgusting. At one point, I remember opening my side drawer in my, next to my bed, and I'm not even kidding you. There'd be like 30 empty 5-hour energy bottles. Cause like, I'd literally slug a 5-hour energy before class, like when I wake up on the day of school, like if I had a morning class, and I would sit there and wait I'd always have to wait about 3 minutes for it to kick in. And once it kicked in, it was like instant energy, and it was enough for me to at least get out of bed, wash up, and get my ass to school. So while I'm in university, again, it's not going well. I'm not doing good. And this is around the time that I actually picked up the camera and started shooting photos. So, and was like getting more into like automotive videos. So like at this point in time, when I was in university, I was also shooting videos for friends' cars. So I'd literally just, call up a friend, text them or whatever. I'd be like, hey man, do you want to shoot a free car video? Like, I'm free. Like, I got a pretty flexible schedule, blah, blah, blah. Let's just go. I'll pick 3 locations. We'll shoot it. And then I'll edit the video for you. And I'm going to upload to my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. And they're like, yeah, for sure. And at the time, there was really nobody else making car videos, right? So the fact that I was very involved in the car scene and I also shot videos made it very easy for me to go out and actually practice this craft. So I was out shooting car videos, and it honestly got to the point where like I'd be literally sitting in like an anthropology 100 class or like freaking, I don't know, physics, and I would not, no word of a lie, or like math class in university, no word of a lie, I'd always sit at the back and I'd just like be like, like I could pay attention, but this is kind of boring and I feel like shit. So I'm just going to fire up Final Cut Pro 10 and start editing this 1980 Toyota Supra car feature video. So I literally put my headphones in, like one headphone in, like kind of low key, and I'd hold my hand like this, so like you couldn't see the, because there's no such thing as AirPods back then, and I'd run the wire up my shirt and I put the headphone jack in my ear, and I'd sit here like this, and I'd kind of have my eyes like up and down on my laptop as if I'm like, you know, taking notes or following along on PowerPoints, but I was actually sitting there with like one hand over my ear covering the sound, and the other one would literally just be on the trackpad editing car videos. So it got to the point where almost every single class I would be sitting in the back just editing car videos, and I was so anxious to get the car videos out that after my class I would just sit at the U of R, or University of Regina, at the university, and I'd sit in like a cafeteria and just continue editing, like because I was so anxious to like get the next part of that timeline finished before I would want to go home, because I'd like was that excited to actually edit the content. Even though it was 100% for free, I just had such a passion for this. And I think the craziest thing too is like, you know, at this time, my face still looked like very different. I was very much so an introverted person. I had a very small core group of friends that I would hang out with. At this point, they all kind of knew it was up. Only like a select few of them. And, you know, they're still good friends with me like to this day. But, you know, it got to a point where I was just like literally editing car videos for fun. And I really enjoyed doing the car videos too, because, you know, even though I wasn't getting paid, because whenever I'd go on set and film a car video and then take it back to edit, when I was shooting and editing, I would be so laser focused on what I was doing on set, whether I was like getting camera shots or I was editing. I'd be so laser focused that it would actually get rid of that like nauseous feeling, or it wouldn't get rid of it, but I just wouldn't focus on it. And I kind of would like, you know, for like a 4-hour editing session where I literally would not move, I'd just be sitting there editing away, I actually felt like just like normal again. And I didn't feel like this weird nauseous pain anymore. So that's what really hooked me on like the editing like side of things, and even like the shooting, is that like not only did it, you know, help with the medication side effects, but it actually gave me like some sort of purpose in life. And what I mean by that is that like, you know, the only purpose that I had before this was literally like wrestling. Like I was honestly like a star wrestler. Like I was a really good wrestler. And when that was taken away from me overnight, I didn't really have honestly like much to live for. Like I really had nothing going for me. I actually had absolutely zero going for me at the time. Like because you know, I had never actually like worked a day in my life, like straight up. I'd never worked a day in my life other than for my mom, but like I don't even consider me working as a receptionist assistant at a doctor's office for my own mother. Like that doesn't count as like real job experience, because if I felt like crap one day because of my side effects, I would just text my mom or call her and be like, hey, sorry, like I can't come in, like I'm way too sick today. She'd be like, no, that's totally okay. Like just rest, like take it easy, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So like that didn't even count as a job. So at this point in time, like, you know, I'm almost second year out of university. I'm taking classes, or out of high school, sorry. And I just like, I don't have a job resume. I don't have any work experience. If I wanted to get a job at McDonald's getting paid minimum wage, I couldn't even do that. I would probably get fired from a McDonald's straight up. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, I'm shooting these car videos, and whenever I post one of these car videos, all these people in the car scene are sharing them. They're all showing love. They're saying, oh my God, shoot my car next. And, I'm posting these videos on my Facebook page as well as eventually my YouTube channel. And that's when my YouTube channel became a thing, because I was like, well, I need another platform to, post these car videos. I see all these other big car video guys posting all their feature videos to their channels. So I should probably be doing the same and follow their footsteps and do what they're doing, because obviously it's working. So I'm sitting there and I'm uploading my first ever car video to YouTube. And I'm like, well, damn, like, what do I call my channel? It can't just be my name, Anastas Marigas. Like, that's lame. Like, I need a cool name. So, no word of a lie, it took maybe 5 minutes of just staring blankly into space at my computer screen until I was like, okay, what is the definition of my videos? And I was like, they're royal. They're really high class. They're different, and people obviously say really good things about my videos. So they're obviously like high end. They're something that people want, because now people are starting to message me for my content. So obviously they look good. So royal. Okay. Z, because that's the nickname for my very first Japanese car that I own, which is the Z, or the Z32, the 300ZX. People would just call it a Z or a Z. And then I was like, well, I may as well just tag production at the end, because I am a videographer. So that's how RoyalZProduction became a thing. That's how I came up with the brand name. And I just ran with it. I made the channel, uploaded my first car video, and after that, I just kept uploading every single car video to my channel. So back to my disease. So basically, still feeling like absolute crap, and, shooting car videos, end up dropping out of university because I just couldn't hack it. Really was not working out. Definitely took a toll on the fam a little bit, because it's like, and it makes sense, because it's like, well, damn, if he doesn't have a degree or isn't going to go to university, like, what the heck is he going to do? Like, he can't even go to a college, like a SciAS or something. Like, what the hell is he going to do with his life? So, and I get it. So obviously fam's worried at this point. I remember having a good conversation with my dad though too. And like, when I dropped out of university, I was so like just devastated for myself. I was like, how can I not pass like 2 classes in a semester? Like, that is like messed up, man. Like, am I that dumb that I can't pass 2 classes? Obviously it's because I'm so sick. If I were to go back to university right now, I'd crush it. Like, I know that. Like, not I'm like completely fine. Like, I'd do well in university if I didn't have like health issues holding me back. And he always told me, like, from the beginning, he's like, you know what, man? He's like, yeah, it sucks, but he's like, you're just going to figure it out, and you're going to have to figure it out, because university at this point in time is not an option. It might not be an option for quite some time, but you can always go back to university. He's like, if you love shooting videos, maybe that's something you should pursue. Maybe look into it. Maybe look at things outside of car videos and see if you can start making some money off of this. And I was like, yeah, but I don't think people are videographers. Like, I don't think there is money in this. I think there's only money in like film and like film production, shooting TV shows and stuff. So, yeah, I ended up dropping out of university, and that was like a really weird point in time, because I actually ended up applying into paramedic school. So my mom said, she's like, if you really, really want to do something in the medical field, maybe it doesn't have to be a doctor. She's like, I think that, she's like, you're a very caring person. You'd be a really good paramedic. Would that be something that interests you? And, coming out of school, you're making, $60,000 a year, which is not that bad coming straight out of school. And it was only a 2-year program, I believe. So we ended up putting in the application for it, and it was just so bad, man, because like, we had to do an interview, or I had to do like an interview, basically like a pre-interview before applying. And like, I'm sitting in the car with my mom, she's driving me to it and to this college to do this interview. And she's like, okay, like, make sure when they ask, like, why do you want to be a paramedic? You say this, and this, and like, make yourself like look really good. And I'm like, okay, like, I got it. Like, yeah, break. So I went in the interview and I literally did just that. They asked me all the questions that I went over with my mom. And it's just like, looking back on it, it's so funny. But yeah, it ended up being like a really good interview, talking to them about it, paramedic school. And they're like, okay, well, right now it's a wait list. We'll put you on the wait list, and we'll get back to you when we have open slots. So I'm still waiting. During this time, it was about a 6-month period. I'm still shooting car videos completely for free. Still feel kind of sick, but it was coming to the end of my treatments. So finally, I'm about to hop off these treatments. I had maybe a month or 2 left of them before we reassessed whether I kept continuing doing the treatments or we just drop it all together. So at this time, I am actually getting a haircut from a new barber that I started going to, because one of my best friends started going to this new barber. I go to a couple haircuts with this guy. His name's Andy Chung. Still go to him to this day. It's been like 7 years since I've been going to Andy, 8 years maybe. Anyways, getting my hair cut. This may be my third cut from him, and he's like, he's like, he's like, I used to be really into the car scene too. So like, I've seen all your car videos that you've done. He's like, do you film stuff outside of cars? I'm like, no, like not really. Like, I don't think there's much of a like scene for that. So I'm trying to just be an automotive videographer. And he's like, like I should put you in touch with one of my other clients who I cut his hair. His name's Brandon, and he owns a marketing agency called StratLab. Gave me their business card, and he's like, email this email with your portfolio once I text you to do so. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, didn't really think anything of it. So I go home with this business card, and I get a text from my barber maybe 4 or 5 days later. He's like, hey, shoot that email or shoot a message to that email that I gave you on that business card. They want to see your portfolio. So I didn't have any portfolio other than the car videos that I was doing. So at the time, I had a gimbal, 3-axis gimbal. It was called a Ghost V3 by a company called SIC Visuals. They're now discontinued. I think they closed up shop because DJI definitely took over the gimbal game since then. But it was this really overpriced 3-axis motorized gimbal that I'd use for car videos. And I was still running the Canon T3i with a wide angle lens and a kit lens and a 50mm, obviously, and like a slider. So I had this like portfolio of car videos. I had just hit 1 million overall views on my channel with about 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers. And that was literally my portfolio. I sent my portfolio. I'm like, hey guys, like I'm willing to learn quickly. I don't have any other job experience, but I do have this YouTube channel. My work ethic is absolutely insane. I learn again very, very quickly. Please like consider me to maybe come in for an interview. Immediately, I got an email back the next day. Hey man, come in for an interview tonight. So I meet with these guys, Jeff and Brandon, owners of this marketing company called Strategy Lab Marketing. And I'm talking to both of them, and they're like, Jeff especially, he's like, man, like you got this like YouTube subscriber base, and back then 8 years ago, having 5,000-6,000 subscribers wasn't like a huge deal, but it was something. Like there was something there. And he's like, man, some of your car videos have like 100,000 views. Like what the hell, man? Like where'd you come from? And I was like, yeah, I just shoot car videos, but I want to start tapping into other things like corporate real estate and stuff. And they're like, well, we do all that stuff. So, and we do need to hire a videographer right now. So how about we do $100 if you just shoot, $100 if you just edit, or I think it was $250 if you shoot and edit. And I was like, I'm in. I'm like, I'm getting paid. Holy crap, this is crazy. So I go home, tell my parents, I'm like, yeah, I got a freaking job, kind of. I mean, they're going to test me out, but if they like me, they might hire me full time. Everybody's happy. So I worked for them doing like little contract work. They just like kind of call me in for gigs, and basically like I grinded it, man. I was thrown right in the fire. My first gig I went on, I was doing a behind the scenes of this designer brand in Regina, local to us. So I was just running around with my gimbal, getting cool gimbal shots, and then Brandon edited the video. And I remember sitting next to him. I was working on a different project next to him at the office before I was hired on full time, and he shifts the laptop over and he's playing this video, and he's like, check this out, man. Like, isn't this cool? Like, these are all your shots. Like, this is the video. It's finished. Like, isn't that sweet? And I'm like, holy crap. Like, I just, help produce something that isn't a car video. Like, that is actually wow. Like, I could do so much with this camera. So the next shoot after that, I remember Brandon had some sort of like emergency. It was a family emergency or something. Somebody was in the hospital or whatever. And he came to my house. He pulled up to my house and he's like, hey man, I can't make this real estate shoot. So I'm dropping off my GH4, my 18-35, my wide angle. And can you use your gimbal and just do this real estate video? Just do a walkthrough of the home. That's all it is. Get some detailed shots and you're good. But spend around an hour, hour and a half doing it and make sure you just get all the shots. Are you comfortable doing it, or should I call it off? And I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, don't worry about it, man. Like, I got you. Like, don't worry. Like, I know what I'm doing. Had no idea what I'm doing. Go to this house. And I filmed this I meet up with this real estate agent, and I still remember shooting the video, which is crazy. And I was just getting wide angle shots of every corner. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. And Brandon was tied up doing other stuff. So he's like, can you just edit the video? So I'm sitting here like putting together this real estate video. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, but I'm using what I know about shooting car videos and just applying it to real estate. And it was way easier than editing a car video because I didn't really have to be creative. It was just a very cookie cutter edit. So I ended up putting it out, and I got paid my $250 because I showed up to shoot, and I edited it, delivered it, and I literally and the client loved the video. There's no revisions. So I was like, holy shit, like that was a fluke. Next thing you know, they start putting me on more shoots. Now it's like, one shoot every third day, one shoot every second day, one shoot a day. Next thing you know, I'm doing event recap videos. I'm doing corporate interviews. I'm doing brand story videos with supporting B-roll. I have multiple projects on the go. I'm still shooting car videos on the side. Then I get to a point about 8 months into the company where I start to get really freaking bored. I'm like, man, I'm bored of doing this corporate stuff. Even car videos, I've been doing it for years now. I was like, what's next on the list? Like, what can I try? So I started shooting music videos. I was like, why not get into rap music videos? I love the rap genre. That's all I listen to when I'm editing, and when I'm driving around. So why not get into rap videos? So I book out a couple rap videos, start posting those to my YouTube channel, start losing subscribers very quickly because people were there for my car videos, and I'm now posting random rap videos. But as I was posting the music videos, I also was dabbling in like fitness videos. I was dabbling in solo wedding videos a bunch, and I was just kind of getting into like everything. So music videos definitely stuck because a lot of people, even though they're hating on them, it wasn't so much like they weren't hating on my videos. They were just hating on like the music that I was like choosing to shoot. Like the music maybe wasn't like the best, but I was kind of just taking what I could get, right? Because like I wasn't very immersed in like the hip hop industry where I live. So like I didn't know rappers. Like I never knew a rapper at all, like growing up. I never knew one artist growing up. So I was just really trying to like wiggle my way through the cracks into this like weird, very low key underground industry. And the more music videos I shot, the more artists would hit me up. And, I was running music videos, like the first 3 or 4 were completely for free. And then after that, it was $100, $200, $300, $500, so on and so forth. But when I shot my first 3 music videos, I started to get questions from other locals in Regina. People who weren't even into filmmaking or photography. They're literally messaging me and being like, okay, one, where the hell did you find these trap artists in Saskatchewan, like in Prairie, Saskatchewan? And 2, how did you learn how to shoot music videos? I thought you did like corporate videos and car videos. Like, where the hell did you learn how to shoot music videos? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, honestly, I don't know how I learned how to shoot these. I just kind of applied what I knew from corporate videos and, brand story videos, and just applied what I knew into music videos, and I made it work. So eventually I kept getting questions like, how do you shoot music videos? And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to put out a vlog. The first time that I've ever showed my face on camera, I'm going to put out a vlog, whatever, on how I shoot music videos. I'll find an artist or whatever. Literally a week or 2 later, I get hit up by artist Bonfils. And he goes, hey man, I have 0 budget, but I have a song that I really want a music video for. And this is like early December in Saskatchewan, which is usually really, really cold, like -30. For whatever reason, it was only like -3 that day, -2. It was a beautiful day. Like you could be out in a sweater and a hoodie, which is like unheard of for Saskatchewan. So I meet up with Bonfils. I go, okay, listen, I'll shoot it for free on as long as I can shoot a behind the scenes video of me vlogging how I shoot a rap and hip hop music video. He goes, done. You go for it. Take as long as you want on set to vlog. I don't care. If I'm getting a music video out of it, do whatever the hell you want. So I would always borrow the Lumix GH4 with a Metabone speed booster and 18-35 from my work. Like they were always really cool with me, like shooting with their gear, as long as I didn't break it. If I broke it, then I would have to pay for it, or pay it back with like man hours pretty much, which is fair. So I take both GH4s because at the time we had 2 GH4s. And one, I put my wide angle lens on, and I brought a tripod because I didn't really know that many other videographers that would come to actually vlog for me and hold the camera, the BTS cam for me. So my BTS camera was literally a GH4 with a wide angle and I think it was a 10 to 20 millimeter f3.5 lens, just a wide angle. And my main setup was the original DJI Ronin, so the big ass gimbal with a GH4 Metabone speed booster, and the entire video was shot on 18-35 Sigma lens, 1.8 Canon EF. So this is the first time I've ever talked to a camera. I've never once ever vlogged in my life, and I literally just broke down my music video set. I just explained how I was doing it, broke it down for beginners, and I was even a beginner at the time too. Like I didn't really know what I was doing. Like people definitely like my work and they're showing love and like genuine love, and they're saying like, yo, this is sick, like nobody shoots music videos like this around here. This is dope, this is new in our city, in our province. Excuse me. So I shoot this vlog, and again, coming back to me being very self-conscious, At this time, it was when I just finished my very first fat graft surgery for my face, because we saw that the disease was stable for now like a year or two. The next step was doing reconstructive surgery, which was involved fat grafting, which I'd have to fly all the way to Toronto for. And I've done about 3 or 4 of these over the years, but I did my first one, and I recovered from it because my face gets like swollen like a balloon on the one side. Recovered from that, face started to look like very normal again, like extremely normal. So I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Like, may as well do a vlog. But at this time too, like I was still very self-conscious about like putting my face out there, like extremely, like even though like my face was not noticeable by any means at this point, like at all, like you would never be able to notice that there's something like different about my face. But because I was so not used to even having photos snapped of me for like 4 or 5 years straight, I was still like very weirded out about talking to a camera and like especially like vlogging. But for some reason that day, I was just very motivated to make a vlog, and I don't know what possessed me to want to do that vlog. I think it was just so many people asking me how I did it and found it so cool that I was shooting like trap music videos that I was like, you know what, like I'm just going to show people how I do it. And if it gets, if it gets 10 comments of people saying like, wow, this is really cool, or wow, this video really helped me as a filmmaker, everything else is like the cherry on top. So funny enough, I made the very first vlog on my channel, which was how I shoot rap and hip hop music videos. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably know about it, which is like crazy, because that was like my very, very first vlog, and it ended up being like the holy grail of like music video tutorials, because like that music video tutorial, at least for like the rap and hip hop music video niche, is like the highest viewed music video like tutorial for rap on YouTube. It has like 850,000 views now, and it literally completely kickstarted my channel. And it was wild too, because like I started to see like the numbers like go up. Like I finally posted it. It actually sat unlisted, and I was close to not posting it at all and just deleting it. But like just because I was so self-conscious about my face and like whatever, and I was just very like a little bit of imposter syndrome too, is like, do I actually know what I'm talking about in this vlog? Or people are going to actually find this valuable, or are they just going to laugh at me behind the scenes, behind closed doors? And I'm sure some people did, to be completely honest. There's probably some people in our city and outside and abroad that watched it, laughed, said, what the hell is this dude doing? Like, this is cringe, and just, talk shit. But I never really heard any hate. And what ended up happening was I posted the video one night. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to post it. If I see any hate on it, I'm just going to pull it down, never do it again. So I post it, and I wake up to like so many positive like comments on that video, which is like freaking wild. And it made me feel so good seeing like positive comments, not from just like random people saying like, oh, this is like really cool to see your process, but like also like up and coming filmmakers who are like, yo, I was so scared to shoot my first music video, but when I watched this music video, it gave me so much confidence to go and shoot my first music video. And I feel like I already know exactly what to do for my first music video set. Thank you. And I was like, whoa, like that is freaking powerful, man. And like there's people commenting like from all over the world, in India, all over the US, other parts of Canada. So many people are like showing love on this. And I was like, well, I got to start following it up, especially when I start to see the numbers grow. After maybe 2 or 3 months, I start to notice the numbers growing by like 10,000 views per month on this like specific video. So I was like, well, I need to follow this up. So I started creating more and more YouTube content around how I shoot music videos. And as I was leveling up, so were my behind the scenes. So was all the tips and tricks that I was giving away on my channel. And it turned it into the channel that it is now, where honestly, there's just so many filmmaking gems on it. And that is like one thing too, that like that is kind of the reason why you'll probably notice on a lot of my YouTube videos is if you go into the comment section, 90% of the comments have like comments back. Like I comment back to like everybody's stuff, just because I was so used to doing that from like the very beginning. And I was always very grateful to like see new comments on my videos when I was a beginner. Like that was like, oh man, I get like a rush when I literally see comments on my videos of like positive comments. Like I'd just be so excited to like message people back and shed more light on any of their questions. Like if they had filmmaking related questions, they wouldn't ever get one word answers. And I'm sure there's some of you watching this that have left a comment on my videos and asked a question and gotten 2-paragraph long like text of me answering your question extremely in depth. And it's not that I'm like being a tryhard. I just genuinely like love helping people. So yeah, like basically the YouTube channel started taking off, and then I started to, I was at this marketing company for about 3 years, learned so much from them, very grateful to be able to work with them. Now, while I'm at this marketing company, I'm also doing videos on the side. I'm doing car videos, wedding videos, fitness videos, music videos, corporate videos, real estate videos, all of the above on the side. So I'd basically work about 5 or 6 days a week for these guys, and the hours were kind of all over the place. But basically, call it from 9 to 5. I was there from 5 till 2 in the morning. I was working on my own projects, whether they were music videos, like I'd be up till like 2, 3 in the morning shooting music videos, like trap videos, and I'd be back at the office at like 8, 9 a.m. the next day. And it was just like grinding that day in, day out, day in, day out. And I did that for about 2 years until it got to the point where I was getting, for the price of my music videos, I was getting so many music video bookings that it actually made more sense for me to just leave my full-time job to be able to take on more demand as a freelancer, and actually make better money as a freelancer than, getting paid what I was getting paid at my job. And honestly, for like the age that I was at, I was actually getting paid like really well at that job. But it just got to the point where my freelance rates were like, they're exceeding like what I was getting paid at this like actual job at this marketing agency. So I ended up quitting, and I did a lot of really cool stuff while I was a freelancer for the first like 8 months that I was freelancing. I flew back and forth to Los Angeles a bunch to shadow Jacob Owens of the Buff Nerds Media because I was in his 6-month mentorship program. I got to shadow Logan Mice, who's a DP for Lyrical Lemonade, for a lot of Lyrical Lemonade stuff, but he shot for like Trippie Redd, Kanye, like all the biggest artists that you've seen, he shot videos for them. I was shooting just music video after music video, again, really cool like automotive gigs, really cool fitness video gigs, making so many connections. I was going back and forth even to like Toronto a little bit to shoot, Calgary a bunch, and life was like good. Like I was just getting a lot of really cool experience like traveling and stuff, and solo traveling too, where it wasn't just vacation, it was like traveling for work. And I learned a lot during those times like traveling, and I met a lot of people, made a lot of like really good friends. So about 8 months or 6 months goes by into freelancing, and I get hit up by another local videographer named Kyle, and he hits me up. He's like, "Hey man, want to chat with you real quick. Saw that you were in LA. Wanted to hear about it." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Like kind of like acquaintances, but like we didn't really like know each other like that, or that well. So I meet up with him for a coffee. He's like, "What are your thoughts on starting a production company?" And I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "I literally just left like this other company. Like I'm just trying to freelance right now, and I'm trying to travel." He's like, "You can still travel. You can still do all these like music videos and stuff. You just be under a company that you would part own." And he's like, "You still have the freedom. You just own a company." And I was like, "Just give me more time." I was like, "Come back to this 6 months like down the line, like once I hit 1 year of freelancing, and then I'll reassess." He's like, "Okay, cool." So I'm freelancing, and we ended up meeting again around like December of 2020, I want to say. And at this point in time, I was just like that's like usually slow season for us in the winters for like for filmmakers where I live here in Canada, because it just gets so cold outside. People gear down for like the holiday season. So Kyle ended up calling another meeting with me. So I meet up with him, and he's like, "What are your thoughts?" And at this time I wasn't actually making that great of money for like a 2-month period, and it was like kind of struggling a little bit. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like, did I want to be a music videographer? Did I want to move out to Vancouver in a bigger city, or try my hand at like moving to Los Angeles and getting a visa? Like, what did I want to do? I had no idea. And he's like, basically pitched me on the dream of starting a video production company. And I was like, what? This all sounds good. Let's roll with it. So we started a company called Subtle Cinematics. So we had this conversation, I believe, late December, and we started the company February 1st of 2021. And we basically ran this company for a little over 2 years, and we had 2 full-time employees. We had a part-time employee for a little while still having 2 full-time employees. And the stuff that I learned at this production company was like actually pretty insane. Like it was such a good learning experience. But it just got to a point where it wasn't working out for me on my end. Like, crazy story, but I was just under like a lot of stress. By just not really getting paid that much. Like we're barely paying ourselves. Life of a business owner. If you're a business owner, you would know. You're not pulling out. You're pulling out the bare minimum to live. And after 2+ years of doing that, I just couldn't do it anymore. So I decided that I wanted to leave. We had the conversation, we dissolved the company. We are actually still business partners to this day, but with a different company that actually has nothing to do with filmmaking. It's actually like an online business who we have a third business partner in. So yeah, I end up leaving Subtle, and we both go our separate ways from Subtle. And then I just go back to freelancing under RoyalZProduction. So, but even like backing it up, when we were doing Subtle, like it was such a cool learning experience because you got to actually see like the back end of like how a real business operates and not just like a creative doing run and gun shoots. Like the way that we were handling our pre-production was far more intense than what I was doing as like a freelancer, right? How we were handling our production rates was far different than what I was quoting as a freelancer. Like way more professional, like quotes and proposals, even proposal writing. Like I got a really good look at like how Kyle would write proposals and sell clients on our projects. So I learned like a lot being there. But it was definitely like a freaking hustle, man. Like I've never worked so hard in my life to get paid so little. Like it was just to a point where I just like really couldn't do it anymore. So yeah, ended up leaving. Now I'm freelancing, and I've been freelancing for about 6 months now under RoyalZProduction, and it is just like freaking full speed ahead, man. Like couldn't be more blessed with like the clients I've had to work with like so far. Like I've been working with some pretty cool clients, getting some like really cool connections too. And just having like the freedom of being my own boss and just like not having to answer to somebody like in regards to me being an employee. Like I am just my own boss. It's way better this way. And just being a freelancer for the time being, especially with the connections that I've been making with other freelancers who are bringing me onto their sets. I'm bringing other freelancers onto my sets. I'm getting a lot of really cool one-off videos, which, I now have so much more confidence than I did freelancing, 3 years ago to secure higher budget gigs where I'm actually kind of shooting less, but making more money every single month. So, yeah, it's just been so really... It all started with picking up a Canon T3i, shooting little car videos for free, just literally for the fun of it, and then getting hired at a job, working for somebody else for 3 years, and then freelancing, starting a company, didn't work out, left, now back to freelancing. So been a lot of like ups and downs over the years, but circling it back, because like I don't want people to think like I'm just like I was a spoiled brat like kid growing up, because like I am like a very humble person. I like to think I am, but it's crazy that like just because I really want to circle back to this, but just because growing up I had a really 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 easy life, it doesn't mean that like everybody's life is gonna end up being perfect, whether it's down the road or like in the flesh. Like I could have had a really, really good life, but my parents could have maybe been going through a divorce. They're happily married still to this day, but you know what I mean? Like I that could have happened, right? And now all of a sudden, just because you had all those really good things, it's like you could have all of like the nice cars, the nice, the newest like gaming consoles, and live in the nicest house, but the parents are divorced and you're going through family issues and you have that stress on your back. For me, it was different. It was I had pretty much everything I could ever ask for growing up, but I ended up having a super rare autoimmune disease that for sure caused me to lose some years of my life because of the stress that I had to go through for that autoimmune disease. But on the flip side, the reason for having that autoimmune disease is the reason why I picked up a camera in the first place, because it really helped me find purpose in life. So yeah, it's just like it's so crazy. And like even I think my work ethic too, like I've heard over the years, like I don't have a huge ego when it comes to like work ethic or anything. Like I do know that I work really hard and like I care. I'm very, very passionate about what I do, and I'm okay with working, like an 18-hour day. Like it's like it's just another day. Like yeah, it was a little longer than a 13-hour day, but gotta do what you gotta do. I was locked in. For me, I can pull those consistent long hours because I think it's because of the pain that I went through when I was shooting and editing videos completely for free while also going through pain and like those nauseous feelings 24/7, like working through that, but still putting out content through those like really tough times is like I think that's what like seriously really shaped me, as well as the fact that when I had a full-time job from 9 to 5, 6 days out of the 7 days out of the week, I was still out shooting almost every day. Every evening I was shooting a music video, a car video, YouTube content. Like I was still doing so much on the side where I was like basically juggling like basically 2 full-time jobs at times. Like it was absolutely insane. And I think that like the work ethic stemmed from, obviously always seeing my parents work like really hard when I was like a kid. Like it was always like, oh, mom and dad got to work, or they're coming home from work, it's really late. It was always work, 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 like hearing like about them. So seeing them work so hard, and then me working so hard through my disease, while also working basically 2 full-time videography gigs, one as a freelance, one for somebody else, for like 3 years straight with like literally 0 breaks, to then, now doing what I do now. I think that's where my work ethic kind of stemmed. And I don't know, I've always just had like really solid work ethic, but it's like crazy that it's like, I don't know. I always think about that sometimes. It's like, I was so privileged as a kid, but I was dealt like so many shitty hands when it came to like my health, that it's like, I guess nobody's perfect, but it ended up working out for me, which is pretty crazy. It's been quite the journey. But anyways, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this first podcast. It's kind of long, but I want to be really real, raw, and just shed some light on like me personally, because I feel like I don't do that, like I said, enough on this channel. So I hope that you guys like enjoyed my story. I hope that maybe some people can like relate to this. Like maybe you struggled with some sort of weird health issue that led you to picking up a camera, or maybe it was some other life event that led you to picking up a camera. If that is so, like leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your story. And in the near future, I'm probably going to do a couple more of these where there's solo things. I'm not going to talk about my life so much in the other ones. I thought this would just be a good one to like kick it off and kind of tie into like my personal life growing up and becoming a filmmaker, and how it all tied together into like what I do now. But if you guys also have any other filmmakers that you would love to see on the podcast, leave them in the comments down below. That'd be like really, really awesome. Just like, I have a long list already, but if there's anybody that you'd want to see specifically, definitely leave in the comments down below, and I can definitely check that out and consider hitting some of these people up, because I'm definitely going to start getting some actual guests on the pod and just interviewing people, getting, down into like how they got into video, the stuff they shoot, their craziest filmmaking stories and stuff of that nature. So I think that there's just not enough of this type of filmmaking podcast related content on YouTube. So that's why I really want to bring like a raw take onto learning more about really talented filmmakers out there in the world. So yeah, thanks everybody for listening in. Thanks everybody for watching the video format. Appreciate you guys for checking this out, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast. Thanks everybody for watching. Learn Freelance Filmmaking Podcast. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.